right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood. I hope everybody is having a fun and safe and very happy new year. It's so crazy that we've made it to 2026. I feel like 2025 went by so fast, but so much happened, you guys, in this last calendar year. And hopefully this is a new page for a lot of our sports teams here in Pittsburgh, and maybe 2026 will be a better year for some of these programs. Today is college football bowl game day. We had a triple header going on today in the quarterfinals, and unfortunately, we saw back-to-back blowouts today. Not super exciting. Look, I thought Oregon was going to beat Texas Tech, but to shut them out the way they did, I really didn't see that one coming. And then Indiana, just wow, over Alabama. I think they beat them by like 32, 34 points. It's actually the biggest deficit that Alabama has suffered in almost 3 decades, almost 30 years. So Kalen DeBoer, not a good thing there for him. But right now, Ole Miss taking on Georgia, and a lot of people thought this would also potentially be a blowout, but it is right now in the third quarter, and Ole Miss just scored. So Georgia is only up 21-19, and Ole Miss had a 14-0 lead at one point, and they look pretty dominant. They're hanging in with them right there. So, you know, we'll see how this one ends. Like always, like last night, I'll give you guys updates. Live updates as we go through Sports Call. I do believe we have Chris Mueller joining me tonight, but right now he's not here yet. So fingers crossed he joins me so I'm not alone again, but we will see on that. Big game, obviously, guys, to talk about yet again. Steelers-Ravens. I was over at Steelers HQ again all day today. We talked to a ton of guys. Talked to the coordinators, Cam Hayward, Joey Porter Jr., Nick Herbig, Kenny Gainwell. Just about what they're facing this week. A lot of defensive guys today because they're facing Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, who we know it's a 1-2 punch that gives this team a lot of trouble. And I will say the bright side is, though, Lamar Jackson did practice today, and he confirmed he is 100% going to go ahead and play on Sunday night, which I think for the Steelers, this is actually a good thing. I think they don't really know Tyler Snoop Huntley all too well, and they kind of have Lamar Jackson's number. Lamar is 3-6 against the Steelers, and in the past 6 matchups, he's only won once, and it was that wild card playoff game last year. So, you know, I think the Steelers know how to contain Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's a dual threat QB, and those legs can be scary, but I think the run defense is prepared for that. Now, are they prepared for Derrick Henry? That's a big question mark. You know, we ran all over them in that wild card game, almost 300 yards, 299, 2 touchdowns, and he just put up 4 last week against Green Bay. So he's rolling right now. The Ravens, I mean, they've been so back and forth. They were completely out of playoff contention, and now here they are, you know, fighting for their life alongside the Steelers. So I do think, obviously, it's going to be a huge game, primetime, Sunday Night Football. But yeah, this run defense is going to have to step up big. And I think the saving grace is TJ Watt. It's looking like he could potentially play on Sunday. Terrell Austin, defensive coordinator, told us today that he's going to play. It's just a matter of how much. He kind of said something along those lines. I don't want to misquote him, but something similar to that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get to hear from TJ Watt tomorrow. Now, they did move practice over to Acrisure tomorrow afternoon, and their player availability is after practice. So fingers crossed that we get to hear from TJ for the first time tomorrow since the scary lung injury happened. Just so unfortunate, really scary. And as Tomlin said, you know, it's a medical issue. It's not an injury. So they have to handle this very differently. And like I said, just very hopeful he's back. But guys, in his absence, 3 games he's missed so far, and in those 3 games, this run defense has looked elite. Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, they've both looked awesome. Jack Sawyer as well, the rookie, an interception. A lot of people thinking that he could have hit the sideline and maybe scored a pick 6 against the Browns after collecting that pick. But look, he's a rookie, you know, he's going to do rookie things. So seeing him still be able to do that, pick off Shedeur Sanders the way he did, it was impressive to see. And I think they have depth in that group right now, which is huge because that edge rush group is injury prone because they just are the way they play, so physical, kind of like the D-line, the men up front. I mean, you're just very physical, and it's easy to get some nicks and bruises when you're playing that way. So, guys, this is our Penn West University question of the night. Will the Steelers target a quarterback in the 2026 NFL Draft? And this is a very interesting question because I think a lot of people were so high on Will Howard throughout training camp this year. Unfortunately, he had that wrist injury that sat him in the preseason, so we never really got to see him compete in a game. Obviously, see him out there at practice. We have most of the season after he got, back off IR. And he's looked great, but, it's hard to judge. It's not game-like, and so it's really hard to judge that. Aaron Rodgers did say on Wednesday, though, that he really enjoys being around Will. He enjoys teaching him, and I think Aaron Rodgers, he knows where he's at in his career. He kind of actually hinted at the fact that he said it's very nice to have continuity among an offense, and you get that when you spend more than 1 year in that offense. So I don't know. I kind of got the vibe listening to him talking on Wednesday that maybe he might come back for 1 more year. And on that note, he was talking about Will Howard and just being able to mentor him and everything. And so I think he's very aware of where his career is, and I think that could be so beneficial for a young quarterback like Will Howard, who's already been in the system now for a year or two. So I think it's very interesting. I know a lot of people are pretty high on Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback, but after today too, I just think that really hurt his draft stock. And I don't think the quarterback class this year is going to be as good as people originally predicted. Drew Aller was another guy that people thought was going to go in the draft, and then he had a season-ending injury, and I think not playing this year potentially hurt his draft stock as well. So Fernando Mendoza obviously is going to go very high, probably 1 or 2 overall. But I think other than him, there's just no one that really jumps out and screams at you. Gunnar Stockton right now, for Georgia, he's strong. He's a great quarterback. But again, he's not super flashy, and I don't know. We'll see how this NFL draft goes. I think a lot of people want them to pick a QB because it is here in Pittsburgh, and that would just be so cool if you draft your franchise quarterback here in your home city. But I don't know, something about Will Howard. With that, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Jeff Goodman. What Curt Cignetti has done in these last 2 years at Indiana is as impressive as any program flip in the history of college sports. And guys, I agree with that. 14-0. He took a program that couldn't even win 10 games and flipped it, and now they're 14-0 and headed to the national semifinals. It's just so impressive. And selfishly, WVU, I have such a soft spot for WVU down in Morgantown. I worked down in West Virginia for 4 years before coming up here to Pittsburgh, and I really wanted Curt Cignetti to go to WVU. I thought that would have been awesome, but unfortunately, watch my words here. Rich Rod ended up coming to WVU. And a lot of big players are now entering the transfer portal, which I think is kind of a bad sign. And Mountaineer fans said, hey, wait, just give him 1 more year. Let him cook. He wasn't great in his first year, in his last tenure, and look at year 2, and maybe he'll do that this time. But a lot of guys are entering the transfer portal, and I just don't know. I don't know about bringing Rich Rod back if that was so smart. I think Curt Cignetti would have been able to do a lot better, obviously, at WVU. But Indiana fans, man, they're loving it. It must be so cool to follow a program, be a fan of a program for so long that didn't have much success, and now you're witnessing this, and it's just so incredible to see. And with that, we're going to go out to the phone lines. I think a lot of people want to talk about the big game on Sunday night, obviously. So first and foremost, let's go to Phil in Glenshaw. Phil, what's going on? And Happy New Year, if you're there. Hello.
Hi, Cassidy.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Oh, fine. What are your thoughts on the Steelers making a deep playoff run?
One can hope. One can hope. I do think if they pull out a win Sunday night against the Ravens, and especially if it's a hefty win, like if it's not close, which, with these two teams, it always comes down to the last play, let's be honest. But if it's not close and they can come out with a pretty substantial victory, I don't know. I would put him up against the Texans if they have to play the Texans, the Jaguars, even the Bills. I mean, I think, look, Josh Allen is scary, but I think the defense would do pretty well against that Bills offense. So, and I think they would contain James Cook, who I think right now is either the second or first leading rusher in the league, which is sneaky. It's like him, Jonathan Taylor, and Derrick Henry. So kind of sneaky there, but I do think if they can pull out the win on Sunday, weirdly enough, I think their playoff run through the AFC, they could manage it. So, look, at the end of the day, I think Steelers fans are just hoping for their first playoff win in over a decade. And if he can get two, that would be fantastic as well. But obviously these, 9, 10, 11 win seasons are just not it anymore. Fans want playoff wins, and hopefully that can start with this season on Sunday night, and we'll see how that goes. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. We have Lyle in South Fayette. Lyle, what's going on? And Happy New Year.
Hey, two players that are exceptionally fast and powerful runners. There's Jonnu Smith. They just pitched the ball out to him and let him run the ball like a running back. And also that backup quarterback who was attacked in Ireland. That backup quarterback has such fresh, powerful legs. I mean, he could run, and there's no way any of these teams are expecting those two to be acting like running backs. Jonnu Smith and that backup quarterback could run the daylights against all of these teams and get us deep in a playoff run. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, Skylar Thompson is the quarterback you're talking about. I'm pretty sure he's still in the practice squad. I don't even think he's on the active roster. I've seen him over on the south side here and there, and he's still like doing workouts on the side, but he's not really part of the active roster. I do think he can run. He did really well in the preseason, and I thought maybe they would keep him on the active roster, but they have their big three right now, Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. So once Will got healthy again, they, replaced him. So look, I do agree with Jonnu Smith, though. I think we're going to see him get a lot more touches on Sunday night, especially with Darnell Washington now out with the broken arm. And we know Arthur Smith loves his tight ends. And, I mean, Aaron Rodgers does, too. And hopefully we see Muth get a couple more catches as well. He did really well against Cleveland. He had those back-to-back big plays in Cleveland. And I thought he should go to him more in Cleveland. So we'll see how the touches play out on Sunday. But I do agree with you. I think Jonnu Smith, what's great about him, too, is not only is he a power runner, he's a great blocker, too. And they're going to need that, especially with Darnell Washington out. Like I said, thankfully Spencer Anderson is healthy. So Tomlin mentioned on Tuesday, they're going to use Spencer Anderson as well because he can block, and he's also a threat in the pass game sometimes. He did have only one catch so far this season for 4 yards against Green Bay, so we'll see if he actually touches the ball. But I think either way, it's going to be really interesting to watch how the ball is spread out on Sunday night. And with that, let's go back out to the phone lines. Daryl in Boston. Daryl, what's going on?
Hi, how's it going? I'd like to see T.J. Watt be on the opposite side of the defense.
Yeah.
Throw a curveball in on the other offense.
Yeah, I agree with you, Daryl. We heard all training camp that T.J. Watt was working out on the other side of the ball, and he told us that he was going to rotate and switch it up a lot this season, and we haven't seen that at all. So I agree with you. I think it would surprise other offenses to get him on the other side, but I don't really see that happening this late in the season now, especially when he's coming off of this scary medical situation. I don't see them changing up too much. He's probably going to play in his natural position going forward, I would imagine, through the playoffs. Just because, it is working, I guess. But yeah, I agree with you. Kind of unfortunate. We heard that, like I said, all training camp, all preseason, that he was going to switch sides, and haven't seen that. So, and I don't think we're going to. Maybe next year, who knows? All right, Bert in Ross Raver, excuse me. What's going on, Bert?
Hi, Cassidy. Happy New Year. Yeah, having Aaron Rodgers here has made the season fun for me. He's shown some great leadership. Mm-hmm. And those 3 games that I thought were Hall of Fame games, and he put them in a position where they still might win a division. And I still can't believe they signed this guy, and it's just made the year for me. Yeah,
I agree with you, Bert. We were talking about it last night, actually, here in the studio. I think the narrative, the national narrative, kind of blew him out of proportion a little bit, because I'm not going to lie, when he actually signed and it was official that he was coming here to Pittsburgh, I was a little nervous about it, just a little bit, because I didn't want to go from dealing with Russell Wilson, who, you know, is so media trained and so kind and gives you 5-minute answers to anything you ask. You go from that to someone who I thought coming in was going to be a little arrogant, maybe a little condescending, maybe because of all these national narratives. And I have to say, it's been the complete opposite. Now, granted, I think Aaron Rodgers also changed his mindset a bit when he came to Pittsburgh. I think he's very aware he's at the tail end of his career. He's already done it, proven everything he's needed to prove. And I think at this point, he just wants to win football games and have fun. He's so in love with the game. That's the other thing. Like, when you're around him and you talk to him, you can really get that sense he genuinely is so passionate about football and just loves to teach it. I mean, every Tuesday he's having his teammates over at his house after practice and after hours to go over film and do all this stuff. He's really taken these guys under his wing, which I think is huge too, because, I mean, this offensive line is not old. It's a pretty young O-line. They rebuilt it last year. And so, I mean, Zach Frazier was a rookie last year. These guys are not, they haven't been around long. Troy Fautanu, the first-round pick just a couple years ago, and he sat out all last year. So this is the first full season we're seeing Troy Fautanu out there. So I do think Aaron Rodgers has taken all these guys under his wing, and it's been really awesome to see his chemistry with them. They clearly respect him. And yeah, so hopefully, like I said at the top of the show, he did kind of dance around it on Wednesday that he does have options out there, and we'll see what happens next year. But I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he maybe came back next year. And I think, like I said, it's a good rapport for this team. And when you're up against a Sunday night game like they have this Sunday night, where it's win or go home, such high stakes to keep the season alive, you know, you want a guy like Aaron Rodgers under center for that game, a guy with that kind of experience and that kind of maturity and that ability to be a game manager. So we'll see how it goes. But all right, guys, we only have 15 seconds left in the show, so I'm going to leave you guys with this. I'm sticking by it. I think the Steelers are going to squeak out a 21-17 win on Sunday night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Happy New Year, everybody.